My father dragged me out of the house by my hair for refusing to raise his new baby. But what happened next left him regretting everything. "Let go of me. You're hurting me." I screamed as his fingers twisted deeper into my hair, yanking so hard I thought he might rip it from my scalp. "You ungrateful little brat. After everything I've done for you," he snarled. His grip tightened, dragging me across our polished oak living room floor like I was nothing more than a discarded toy. "Dad, please," I gasped. "I can't." The words came out broken, desperate. "You will do as I say. This is my house," he roared. The front door slammed open with such force it rattled the windows. March air hit my face like a slap as I felt myself being pulled down our stone porch steps, my knees scraping against the rough concrete. My father had just dragged me out of our house by my hair for saying no to raising his newborn baby. Hi, I'm Lauren, and this is my story of how one terrible night changed everything, but not in the way my father expected. Before I tell you what happened next, let me take you back 4 months to where this nightmare began. I was 23, fresh out of nursing school with my RN degree, living at home in our suburban Phoenix house while saving money for my own place. My relationship with my dad, Robert, had always been like walking through a minefield. Mom had left when I was 15, couldn't handle his controlling ways anymore. She'd said, "I have to save myself," before disappearing into the California sunset. I'd stayed because someone had to look after my younger brother, Blake, who was only 12 at the time. Now he was 19 and about to start his sophomore year at Arizona State University. "Lauren, we need to talk," Dad announced one Thursday evening, setting down his Corona with that look that meant he'd already made up his mind about whatever he was about to dump on me. "What's going on?" I asked, stirring the marinara sauce I was making for dinner as usual. "Stephanie's pregnant." I nearly dropped the wooden spoon. Stephanie was his girlfriend of 8 months, 28 years old, only 5 years older than me. They'd met at his plumbing supply company where she worked in customer service. "Oh, congratulations, I guess," I managed. "We're getting married next month. Small ceremony at the courthouse. And when the baby comes, you'll help take care of it while she goes back to work." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. "Wait, what?" I turned to face him completely. "Dad, I just got hired at Phoenix Children's Hospital. I work 12-hour shifts. I can't just." "You can and you will," he cut me off, his jaw setting in that dangerous way I'd learned to fear since childhood. "Family helps family, Lauren. But I'm starting my career. I worked so hard for this nursing degree, took out student loans. This discussion is over." And just like that, my life was decided for me. Or so he thought. The next few weeks blurred together as Robert and Stephanie planned their quickie wedding. She moved in immediately, transforming our quiet home into her personal wellness sanctuary with yoga mats, essential oil diffusers, and meditation crystals everywhere. Don't get me wrong, Stephanie seemed nice enough on the surface, but there was something calculating in how she looked at me, like she was sizing up exactly how useful I'd be as her personal childcare service. "Your dad says you're amazing with kids," Stephanie mentioned one morning, rubbing her growing belly while sipping her green smoothie. "That's so perfect. I'm planning to go back to my customer service job right after the baby's born. Can't lose my position, you know." "I work at the hospital," I reminded her firmly. "Full-time, sometimes overtime shifts." She waved her manicured hand dismissively. "Oh, you can adjust your schedule. Robert said you would." My best friend, Emma, who I'd known since high school, was livid when I told her during our Saturday coffee date at Starbucks. "Are you freaking kidding me? They expect you to be a free nanny." Emma's voice rose enough that other customers glanced our way. "Dad says it's just temporary," I said weakly, stirring my caramel macchiato. "Lauren, you know once you start, they'll never let you stop." Emma leaned forward across our table. "You need to stand up for yourself. This is your life, not theirs." My brother Blake was equally concerned when I told him later that week. We were in his room where he was packing for his return to ASU. "Sis, that's completely messed up. You're not the one who got Stephanie pregnant," he said, folding his Arizona Cardinals jersey. "I know, but Dad's being..." "Dad," Blake's face darkened with memories. "Remember when he made you quit the debate team to cook and clean after Mom left? You had a shot at that scholarship to ASU." The memory stung like an old wound that never fully healed. I'd given up so much already, my teenage years, my social life, my dreams. How much more was I supposed to sacrifice? As Stephanie's due date approached, the pressure intensified like a vice slowly tightening. Dad started leaving pamphlets about family-friendly work schedules on my dresser. Stephanie began setting up the nursery in the room next to mine, constantly mentioning how convenient it would be for midnight feedings. "I can hear the baby from my room," she'd say with fake sweetness. "So if she cries at night, you'll know right away." The final straw came during a family dinner at Olive Garden, if you could call it that, with the tension thick enough to cut with a butter knife. "I'm not the mother," I finally said, setting down my fork with more force than necessary. Dad's silverware clattered onto his plate. "What did you say?" "I said I'm not the mother. This is your and Stephanie's baby. I'll be the sister, the aunt, but I'm not giving up my nursing career to raise your child." Stephanie's eyes went wide with theatrical hurt. "We're not asking you to raise the baby, just help out." "Help out means occasionally babysitting," I shot back. "Not being the primary caregiver while you both work full-time." Dad's face turned that dangerous shade of red I remembered from childhood. "You live under my roof." "And I pay rent," I fired back. "I buy groceries. I cook. I clean. I'm not some freeloader, Dad. I'm saving money to move out." "Maybe you should move out faster then," he growled, throwing his napkin down. The drive home was silent except for the radio, but I could feel the anger radiating from the front seat like heat from a furnace. The baby arrived 3 weeks early on a sunny March morning. Little Sophia, they'd named her after some reality TV star Stephanie followed, was beautiful, with tiny perfect fingers and Robert's stubborn chin already showing. I visited them at Banner Desert Medical Center, bringing flowers and genuinely feeling happy to meet my new half-sister. For a moment, seeing her tiny face, I almost wavered. Almost. But then Stephanie, still in her hospital gown, looked up from feeding Sophia and said, "So Monday morning, you'll start watching her while I recover, right?" "Monday, I have a 12-hour shift," I said firmly. "I told you this." Robert, who'd been quiet until then, suddenly stood from his visitor chair. "Call in sick." "No." The single word hung in the hospital air like a challenge. A nurse walking by actually slowed down, sensing the tension. "What did you say to me?" His voice was low, dangerous. "I said no, Dad. I'm not calling in sick. I'm not jeopardizing my job." "Then quit." I actually laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Quit? Are you insane? I just started my career. I have $45,000 in student loans to pay off. I'll take care of." "No, you won't," I cut him off. "You'll hold it over my head forever, just like you do with everything else." The other visitors in the maternity ward were definitely staring now, but I didn't care. I was done pretending this was normal. "I love Sophia," I said, looking down at my sleeping half-sister. "She's my family, but she's your responsibility, not mine." That's when I saw it, that look in his eyes that I remembered from childhood. The look that came right before he'd lose complete control. I left the hospital that day knowing something bad was coming. I just didn't know how bad. Back home, the atmosphere was toxic. Robert stopped speaking to me except to bark orders. Stephanie made passive-aggressive comments about family loyalty and selfishness every chance she got. I started eating dinner in my room, avoiding them both. Blake noticed when he called from ASU. "You sound stressed, sis." "Just Dad being Dad," I said, but my voice was shaky. "Lauren, if things get bad, you call me, okay? I'll drive down from Tempe immediately." If only I'd known how prophetic those words would be. The explosion came 3 days after Stephanie and Sophia came home from the hospital. I was in the kitchen cleaning up after dinner when Stephanie appeared in the doorway, Sophia crying in her arms. "So tomorrow morning, you'll start watching her," she announced like it was already decided. "Tomorrow morning, I have a shift at the hospital," I replied calmly. Robert appeared behind her like a storm cloud. "Call in sick." "No. What did you say to me?" "I said no, Dad. I'm not calling in sick. I'm not losing my job." "Then quit." "I'm not quitting." That's when 23 years of his control, his manipulation, his rage finally boiled over. Robert crossed our kitchen in 3 quick strides, his hand shooting out to grab a fistful of my hair before I could even react. The pain was immediate and shocking, like someone had set my scalp on fire. "You selfish little," he yanked hard, pulling me completely off balance. My feet scrambled for purchase on the tile floor. "Let go of me. You're hurting me," I screamed, my hands instinctively reaching up to try to loosen his grip, but his fingers only twisted deeper into my hair, getting a better hold. "You ungrateful brat. After everything I've done for you." His grip tightened as he started dragging me out of the kitchen. My socks slipped on the floor as I was pulled along like a rag doll. "Dad, please." I said. "I can't." "You will do as I say. This is my house." I could hear Stephanie behind us, Sophia still crying in her arms, but she wasn't saying a word to stop this. Just watching like it was some twisted entertainment. The front door slammed open with such violence I heard something crack, maybe the door frame, maybe something inside me. The March Phoenix air hit my face like a physical blow as I felt myself being dragged down our stone porch steps. My knees scraped against the concrete as he pulled me onto our front lawn. The desert landscaping was sharp and unforgiving, rocks digging into my skin as he finally released me. "Get out," he roared, standing over me like some kind of monster. "If you won't help family, you're not welcome here." I lay there on the hard ground, my scalp burning, tears streaming down my face. Behind him, Stephanie still stood in the doorway holding Sophia, just watching. Not helping, not intervening, just watching. "Dad." The voice came from the street. Blake's Ford F-150 was pulling into our driveway. He must have driven down from ASU after our phone call. He was out of the truck before it was fully stopped. "What the hell are you doing?" Blake demanded, rushing toward me. "Stay out of this," Robert barked, but my brother was already helping me up, his hands gentle on my arms. "Are you okay?" "Jesus, Lauren, your head." I touched my scalp and felt the tender spots where hair had been ripped out. There were actual bald patches. "I need to get out of here," I whispered. "You're not driving like this," Blake said firmly, glaring at our father. "I'm taking her to Emma's. If she leaves, she doesn't come back." Robert shouted. "Fine by me," Blake shot back, surprising us all. "Come on, Lauren." At Emma's apartment in Scottsdale, she took one look at me and immediately got ice for my head. "That's it. We're calling the police," she said, already reaching for her phone. "No," I said weakly. "Emma, please." "Lauren, he assaulted you. Look at your scalp. You're missing actual chunks of hair." I knew she was right, but I was so tired, so hurt, so confused. I can't deal with police tonight." "Fine, but we're documenting everything." Emma was already taking photos of my injuries with her phone. "You might need a restraining order." Blake paced around Emma's small living room, furious. "I can't believe he did that." "Actually no, I can believe it. He's always been a control freak, but this." He gestured helplessly at my head. "This is assault." "He's still paying for ASU," I said weakly. "I'll figure it out," Blake said without hesitation. "I'm not staying in that house after what he did to you. We should have left years ago, Lauren." The next morning, I went to work despite the pain radiating through my skull. My supervisor, Carol, took one look at me during shift change and immediately pulled me aside. "Honey, what happened to you?" Her voice was full of genuine concern. I broke down right there in the break room and told her everything. Carol, who'd been a nurse for 30 years and had seen it all, didn't hesitate. "First, we're getting you connected with our employee assistance program," she said, already reaching for her phone. "Second, we're filing an incident report for your records. And Lauren, your job is safe here. Take whatever time you need to get your life sorted." I could have cried from relief. After years of Robert making me feel worthless, having someone actually support me felt like a lifeline. Over the next few days, I found a small one-bedroom apartment in Tempe. It was tiny and cost almost half my salary, but it was mine. No Robert dictating my every move. No Stephanie expecting free childcare. No walking on eggshells. Blake helped me retrieve my belongings while Robert was at work. Stephanie watched from the window but didn't interfere, probably afraid of what Blake might say to her. "She asked if you were coming back to help with Sophia," Blake told me as we loaded my Honda Civic. "What did you tell her?" I said she should have thought about that before letting Dad assault you. Word spread quickly through our extended family. My Aunt Patricia, Robert's older sister, called me that evening, absolutely appalled. He did what? Lauren, honey, I am so sorry. That's completely unacceptable. Aunt Patricia, you don't have to choose sides. Yes, I do. Your mother warned me years ago that Robert was getting worse, but I didn't listen. I should have intervened sooner. The family divided along predictable lines, but surprisingly, most sided with me. Robert's own mother, my Grandma Dorothy, refused to speak to him. I didn't raise my son to put his hands on women, she told me over the phone, her voice shaking with anger. You're better off away from him, sweetheart. Meanwhile, Robert and Stephanie were struggling without their built-in childcare and household management system. Their perfect plan was crumbling. Stephanie had to pay for expensive daycare, which ate into their budget. Robert was exhausted from night feedings and diaper changes, things he'd expected me to handle. He actually called Blake, begging him to convince me to come back. Never going to happen, Blake told me over burgers at my new apartment. I told him that, and he got mad. Said I was choosing sides. You are choosing sides, I pointed out. Damn right I am, the right side. He grinned. By the way, I got a job at the campus library. Between that and financial aid, I can cover ASU without his money. I was so proud of him for standing up to Robert, something that had taken me 23 years to do. 3 months into my new life, I was thriving. My supervisor had given me excellent performance reviews. I'd made friends with other nurses, and my little apartment had become my sanctuary. Emma would come over for movie nights. Blake would stop by between classes. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Then Aunt Patricia called with news that would change everything again. I sat down heavily on my second-hand couch, processing Patricia's words. She left him already? Apparently, without you there to help, she realized what she'd actually signed up for, a controlling husband and a baby she'd have to take care of herself, Patricia continued. She filed for divorce and is seeking full custody of Sophia. They've only been married 7 months. She's claiming emotional abuse and financial control. Sound familiar? It did. All too familiar. The same patterns that had driven my mother away. The same suffocating control that had ruled my entire life until that night on the desert landscaping. There's more, Patricia said. His plumbing supply company found out about the assault. Someone, and I'm not saying who, might have sent them copies of the police report you filed. I had filed a report at Emma's insistence, though I hadn't pressed charges. I just wanted documentation in case Robert tried anything else. They're conducting an internal investigation, Patricia continued. Turns out violently assaulting your daughter doesn't look good when you're an operations manager responsible for customer relations. The irony wasn't lost on me. Robert had always prided himself on his respectable job, his authority, his reputation in the plumbing industry. Now it was all falling apart because he couldn't control his temper. Blake confirmed the news that weekend when he visited. The house is a disaster, Lauren. He's drinking more, barely keeping it together. He keeps calling me, begging me to convince you to drop the police report. I'm not pressing charges, I reminded him. The report just exists as documentation. He doesn't understand the difference. Thinks you're actively trying to ruin his life. He ruined his own life the second he put his hands on me. 6 months after that horrible March night, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. I'd received a promotion to senior pediatric nurse, moved to a beautiful apartment in downtown Phoenix, and even started dating someone. Cameron worked in physical therapy at Phoenix Children's Hospital, and he treated me with actual respect and kindness, foreign concepts after years with Robert. Blake was excelling at ASU, free from Robert's constant criticism and control. We'd grown closer than ever, bonding over our shared experiences and supporting each other's new lives. Then I got a text from an unknown number. It was Stephanie, your father lost his job. The divorce is final. Thought you should know he's being evicted from the house. Don't know where he's staying. I stared at the message, waiting to feel something, guilt, satisfaction, anything. But there was only a strange emptiness, like looking at news about a stranger. You okay? Cameron asked, noticing my expression as we sat in my living room watching Netflix. My father lost everything, I said simply. The one who? He gestured at my head where my hair had finally grown back completely. Yeah. How do you feel about that? I thought for a moment, surprising myself with my answer. Free. I feel free. And I was free from the manipulation, the guilt trips, the violence. Free to build my own life on my own terms, surrounded by people who actually valued and respected me. 2 years later, Blake graduated from ASU with honors in engineering. The ceremony was beautiful, sunny May day at Sun Devil Stadium, families celebrating, graduates walking across the stage toward their futures. Robert wasn't there. We hadn't invited him. He wants to apologize, Grandma Dorothy told me at Blake's graduation party, which we held at my new apartment in Scottsdale. Says he's changed, that he understands what he did was wrong. Good for him, I replied, refilling her coffee cup. But understanding and changing are two different things. I'm not saying you should forgive him, Grandma Dorothy clarified quickly. Just passing along the message. Message received and rejected. She nodded approvingly. That's my granddaughter, strong, just like your mother. Mom had reached out after hearing what happened. We'd slowly rebuilt our relationship, bonding over shared experiences with Robert's controlling behavior. She was proud of me for standing up to him, something she said she wished she'd done sooner instead of just leaving. I left to save myself, she'd admitted during one of our phone calls. But I always regretted not taking you and Blake with me. We survived, I assured her. And we got out too. My career had flourished beyond my wildest dreams. I'd specialized in pediatric emergency nursing, finding deep satisfaction in caring for children who actually needed me, whose parents were grateful for my expertise and compassion. Sometimes I'd think about Sophia, my half-sister, hoping Stephanie was giving her a stable, loving life away from Robert's toxic influence. Any regrets? Emma asked one evening as we celebrated my promotion to charge nurse at our favorite wine bar in Old Town Scottsdale. None, I said firmly, raising my glass. He made his choice when he grabbed my hair and dragged me across that lawn. I made mine when I refused to go back. The man who dragged me out by my hair thought he was punishing me. Instead, he freed me to fly.